Hey, Alan, what's going on? Long time no see. See who else is on here today. Hey, Kat, what's happening? Oh, cool, Kat. I went to add you as a moderator, and it gives me the option to remove. So I guess that remembers that you're a moderator. I didn't realize that. That's cool. Can you guys hear me okay? Cool. Thanks, John. Hey, John, I just saw you in Chase's live earlier today, right? Michael, what's up, man? Hey, Chase. Hey, guys. Michael, he's a Labougie Knot. He is a new full-time woodworker in my area. So go give him a follow on his YouTube channel. He just started a YouTube channel. Good deal. I'm really liking this microphone that I got a couple weeks ago. Very cool. So yeah, I thought we'd give it a couple minutes, then I'll kind of show you what we did last week on that box. Cool. Thanks, Kat. Appreciate that. Yeah, we'll give it a couple more minutes, then I'll show you the box I made last week. On last week's live, I showed you guys how to make splines in it and install it. And this week I went ahead and put finish on it. What's up, Dad? JB, thanks for joining. Kizzy in the house. That's Louisiana for y'all that don't know. Hey, Chase, I got a surprise at the end of the video. Something I made with the laser for this mallet. So it's going to be pretty cool. Yeah, Kat, he was live like, I think at 9:30 this morning when I woke up. He was live till a little after 10. Yeah, if you guys haven't followed New Beginnings Woodworks, his name is Chase. Last weekend on his live, he showed us how to make this really cool Bible box. And today we got to see him trim it out. Really good tips. Turned out really nice. Yeah, thanks, JB. The box, I think, looks good, but I had a lot of tear out. So I wasn't real happy with the tear out. Whoa, something fell. I wasn't real happy with the tear out, but my jig is really old. So I think I'm going to redesign my jig. If I do that, I'll put a video up on it. So yeah, let's go ahead and start. Let me catch up on these comments in just a second. Elegant Woodcraft. Dan, right? I think that's Dan. Josh, glad you're here, man. Runic, did you go live earlier? I thought I saw a notification and then I couldn't find it. So, sorry. Cleveland. All right, guys, so we're going to get started. So here is this is a cherry box with walnut bottom. It's a floating panel for the bottom of the box. We made the slots in the box with my hand plane last week. And then my newest video, that I put out yesterday actually shows how we made this box from start to finish. And I added these splines on the table saw. So we've got walnut splines up top and then thicker purple heart splines on the bottom. But I got a lot of tear out in one of these spots. Wasn't really happy with that. So, and then this one I guess didn't seat correctly, so I got some glue. So not my best work. I think it still looks pretty good. Especially that side looks a lot better. But I really love the walnut bottom. Yeah, Runic, I dig it. That grain right there is just beautiful. Yeah, so I wanted to Leo, bonjour. Thanks for joining. So yeah, I wanted to show everybody what that looked like. That was last week. And then in the shop, I'm just working on a big order. I'm making 100 plaques for a local fishing organization. So I'm gonna get this box out of the way. So this is what we're making today. We're gonna try to make this. This is a carving mallet. A buddy of mine locally, he's a woodworker, part-time, full-time service member, and he gave me a chunk of Osage orange like 4 or 5 years ago when I first started turning, and I made a mallet. So today, we're gonna try to turn this ash into some type of mallet. So that's what we're doing on the channel today. I haven't done a lot of lathe videos lately, but you know, I've been watching Joe and Ryan start turning more, and that really inspired me. I used to turn a lot before I got my lasers in the shop. So yeah, so that's what we're making today. Let me catch up on these comments and then we'll get started. All right, guys? Catch these up. Let's see. Yeah, JB, tell me if you find a good design of a spline jig, because I'm looking to create a better one. Just a test. See what you guys are up to. Yeah, Kat, I forgot you weren't on Chase's live. That was your box he was working on. He had, I forget what material the box was. I think it was oak. But he had some walnut trim he made. Looks really good. I can't wait to see finish on that, Chase. John, I'm not sure. John said, did the dirty blade cause the tear out? It's possible, but usually the tear out is typically caused because you're not supporting the wood fibers. So my jig is kind of like this, and it's been used so much that it has gaps. It's kind of like on your miter saw. You might have a zero clearance insert. That's to help with dust collection, and it supports the fibers on each side of the blade. So more than likely, that's what's causing the tear out. Yeah, elegant. I love that grain, man. And I've got a lot of cherry left over from these plaques I made, so I'll be making a lot of stuff with cherry. So I'm trying to figure out a project for quite a bit of cherry. Thanks, Kat. Appreciate you. T. Paul Walker in the house. All right. Oh, thanks, Josh. Yeah, post that. Send me some pics of that jig for the spline jig. I've seen some others, so that's definitely on the list because I'm going to be making boxes more. I'm really enjoying it. So I've got to improve that a little bit. Hey, Elegant Woodcraft, is your name Dan? I think it's Dan. Yeah, Kizzy, we did the spline jig last week. Cool. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, cherry, I really like how it engraves on the laser too. It really engraves beautifully and really clean. So I'll show you some of that later. All right, so you guys ready to get started on the lathe? I'm not like a professional lathe guy, but I've got a couple of them in the shop. I've been turning for probably 5 or 6 years. I started out with on Marketplace. Someone sold me a very old Craftsman for like $100 or $200. And when I would adjust it, I'd have to use a crescent wrench to adjust the support here, the end stock, or the tail stock. So I'd have to use a crescent wrench to adjust that. And then the motor burned out, and then I got this lathe new probably about 5 years ago. Love it. It's got variable speed, forward and reverse. Oh, thanks, Kizzy. Yeah, I thought maybe the box lifted up. I was going to redesign it to where it clamps better as well. That's probably it, yeah. Hey, Dan, if you get a lathe, man, we can do a phone call. We can do a FaceTime. I'll show you how to use it safely. I've cut myself once on the lathe. Yeah. See you, Alan. Thanks for joining in. Thanks, Kizzy. I figured that might be it as well, but that was, if it lifted, you know, one of those splines was wider than the others. That's probably what happened on that one. It made it wider. So, all right, so let's get started. I'm going to switch the camera. So I've got a couple of different camera views set up. So give me a second. We'll switch it out. See if I can adjust this here. All right. All right, so, oh, I forgot to show you guys. One of the things I do is use a center finder on the stock. And then the way I typically start out is with one of these, I forget what they're called. And then I'll take it and line it up. We're going to bang on it. Sorry, I don't do a lot of videos at the lathe lately. So you want to pound that in. This is your drive spur. And that actually bites into the wood with those teeth. So that gives it, this helps drive it. And I typically will wear I wear a respirator when I'm sanding. I don't typically wear a respirator when I'm turning unless it's really punky wood, which means it's got a lot of fungus, things like that. So let's go ahead and mount this up. And I'll turn for a bit and then come check out comments. I don't think I've done a live on the lathe. So it's a little different setup. Get some of this out of there. Well, this is bigger than I thought. And the big thing, we're gonna turn this into a cylinder, which makes it round first. That's the first step. Let me put the other different rest in. And if you guys have questions, feel free to reach out. It's kind of hard in the live. Yeah, drive spur. Thanks, Josh. So So I'm basically going to start here. I rotate to make sure it's not bound up or not going to hit your support, your banjo or your rest. Make sure it's going to spin freely. I'm going to put my safety gear on. I put a shield on, one of these guys. A little dusty. And if I sound, burn stock is in the, oh wait, sorry. I thought burn stock was in the house. I just saw Chase mention it. Oh yeah, Chase, burn stock was in my shop. Was it last year? A couple years ago, and I showed him how to make a lathe, or use the lathe, but I showed him how to make a mallet that he took home with him. Sorry, I'm gonna start, I need to plug in the lathe. That always helps. Well, I gotta figure out which, I'm gonna have to unplug my little light. All right, let's get this going. I like to start kind of slow, probably about 500 or 600, until we get it a little round. I'm using a roughing gouge. Sometimes I use this, sometimes I'll use the carbide. The carbide are the ones that have the replaceable bits or tips. Once I get some of the edges off, I'll probably switch to the carbide. They're easy, rougher, makes quick work of this. Turn it into a cylinder really quick. But once we get it round into a cylinder, it'll really take shape really quickly. Turn the speed up just a little bit. So you can see the rough edges on this are taken off. I'm going to move down and do this. This is going to be our handle. This will be the head of the mallet. Actually, I guess I could just stay down there. And I'll switch up the camera angle here in a little bit. Catch up on any of these comments real quick. Yeah, John, if you get a lathe, let me know. They're addictive. They're a blast to make things with. See you, Alan. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, Chase. Josh is really good on the lathe. He makes some really cool lanterns, and among other things. So I'm going to switch to the square-tipped Easy Rougher. This is the carbide tool. This is going to really take off material. Let me get a little closer here. One of the things for safety, you want this rest to be as close to the work surface as possible without touching. So with this Easy Rougher, I can just, you can see it's taking down the wood quite a bit pretty quickly. I don't have to go back and forth with this. I can just go straight into the material. See, you can really take up a lot of material very quickly with this sharp carbide tip. Let's see what we're looking like. See, we're really close to round. Get in there pretty quick. My tool rest moved here. I'm going to switch your camera angle real quick, guys, so you can get a better view. I got a second one of these mounts, so pretty sweet. So we're almost round there. I'm going to go ahead and shift down, turn the rest of the cylinder. This is going to be the handle. And once I get it smooth, I'll check out comments, see what I missed. And actually, as a safety thing, you're supposed to take off rings and don't wear long clothing. So, because a ring could get your finger caught in the lathe. So, this is more of a body going back and forth. I'm not doing much with my hands other than the tool. My left hand is holding the tool against the tool rest, and then my back hand is really just holding the tool against my body to give it some support. And, whoop, that means I need to tighten this guy, lock it into place. All right, so we're going to switch to easy rougher again. I'll catch up on comments. Get closer again. I'm going to go grab a pencil in a minute. We're going to use that old something doesn't feel quite right. Now we're going to use that old mallet as a template. There's a big old chunk to come off. And that's one of the reasons, check this out, guys. These splinters can get you. They can get your hands, they can get your face. That's why I'm wearing one of these face shields, because I've absolutely had a piece of wood explode on me and shatter or splatter my face with splinters. I think we're fairly round. We're getting there. Nope. Oh man, look at that. Took a big old chunk out. I didn't, yeah, that's that big splinter that came out. Well, luckily this is the handle side, so it's going to be smaller diameter. Yeah, sometimes that happens. So let's take it down a little more. Actually, I'm going to do something. I'm going to catch up on comments real quick before I keep going. How's that looking? Yeah, Josh, I appreciate your help identifying the part. Sometimes I use the wrong terms. So, whoop. Hey, Red Prog, thanks for joining. Tierra 616, appreciate you dropping by. Yeah, if you guys haven't followed Burnstock Woodworking, check him out. He's got some really cool videos, a lot of cheap projects to make large profits. I really feel like he was one of the first ones a couple of years ago that started making those videos. Sorry, my head mask keeps flopping down. Hey, Dan, so if the rest is far away, let me show you. I'll get up there. What happened to me, this is, I don't know, a couple years ago, I cut myself. So right here, the blade is touching the wood and your fingers are back here and you're supported. This tool rest is supporting the tool against the workpiece. I was out here probably like this, probably an inch between the wood. And what happened, the blade got caught on the wood and it pulled it back down and my finger went with it and yeah, it cut my thumb. So that's one of the things they tell you is keep your support, your rest, very close to the work surface. So every time, like if you're cutting off material, you'll see me move the rest closer to the wood. That's why. It's a safety issue. Yeah, and Josh just explained it. It can catch and pull the tool in. Exactly. Sticking a paper clip in an outlet. You'll learn quickly. Ouch. Yeah, Josh. Pretty true, man. Yeah, Chase, I've seen some of those where the piece of wood will pop out and slap him in the face. I've actually got one of my shorts a couple of years ago. I made a 16-inch bowl for a customer, and I didn't have a big enough lathe, so I went to my buddy's house and we were turning it, and it jumped off the lathe. It was a big, heavy bowl. Oh yeah, Josh. Josh says always wear a face shield. Epoxy comes flying off like shards of glass. That's true. I've also sometimes if you have a crack in a piece of wood, you might add super glue. And if you don't let it dry enough, when you're turning it, it'll splatter on your face shield as well. So yeah, you definitely, the preferred safety method is a face shield, not just safety glasses. Yeah, Kizzy, I did a friend of mine down the street. He's a woodworker, and he showed me how to make my first bowl, or actually my first pin on his lathe. Sorry, my face shield. And then I took a woodcraft class where we turned a bowl and a snowman. But I learned more at my buddy's house, I think. Walking and discovering, can it catch fire? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Can it catch fire? Can what catch fire? And Kizzy says, so if she wanted round legs, but still wanted handmade, not manufactured, I need to know a turner that I can reach out to. Yeah, Kizzy, I would recommend joining a local Facebook woodworking group in your area And that's how we all, like, I've got people that have CNCs. I don't have a CNC. So if I need CNC work, I'll take my stuff to them. If they need laser work, they might come to me. And I've also had people come to me to make different legs for them. So yeah, it's all about knowing people. And that's, our community is great on YouTube. But I would also recommend doing the same thing and building a community on Facebook as well. Yeah, Dan, the turning clubs, I forgot about that. They've got one I'm in Oklahoma, so they have the Northeast Oklahoma Turning Club or something like that. Bunch of people that own lathes, and they do demonstrations and all kinds of things. So there's a lot of different ways to learn it. You could go to one of those lathe demonstrations or groups, and they would probably teach you how to turn safely. And a lot of times it's a good time to pick up used equipment a lot more cheaply than buying it new. All right, so let's keep sorry, let's keep going on this guy. Let's see if we can make this. I'm going to switch gears since this is going to be the head of the mallet. I'm going to turn the end. Let's see, a little smaller here. And I'll show you why in just a second. I'm going to switch angles again for y'all. So I'm doing something else over here. Almost, maybe a little. These are my old, I think they're called calipers. They're kind of, you set a measurement, so I need to go a little thinner. Okay, so now I'm good. So when you're turning, you can do a certain amount of turning with this drive spur. But what I like to do is, this is called a tenon. And what we're going to do is take our wood out. We're going to take this drive spur out. Whoops, there it goes. And we're going to put our chuck on. When you start taking off deeper cuts, more aggressive cuts, I like to have a chuck on. You get a lot more grip on your wood. See, it has these big jaws that clamp it in. So now we're just going to put it in there in the center, line up our hole on the other side, push it back in. You've got an indentation on the other side. And then, oh, where's my tool here? Well, there it is. Now we're going to tighten this bad boy. See how that's fitting around the tenon? So this gets a really secure grip around that tenon. So now I'm going to finish making this round, and then we're going to shape the handles and the head. All right. We're going to finish turning that around. Come on, dude. And then we're going to keep going. Appreciate you guys stopping in. And I switched to my roughing gouge again. I like these. They get a better finish, in my opinion. Yeah, still need to get a little more round. I'm going to use the carbide to make the cylinder round, to make the wood round. Okay, so we're definitely round there. And I lied, this is actually red oak. I thought it was ash from the table build. Looks like red oak after I started turning it. Hey guys, does the sound okay with me in my mask? Sorry, I didn't even check on that earlier. Okay, we're a little oblong there, but not too crazy yet. Whoops, throwing my tools around. All right, so let's get that mallet. Let me grab a pencil here. I really like the dimensions of this mallet. This is the one I made a few years ago. Osage orange. So I'm going to mirror that, and I made the handle kind of bowed. It fits my hand, so I like it. And I'm making this for myself, so just going to come in here. Sure, right in there. Well, actually, I need to start at the back because I want this to be the handle, the end. So I got to redo that. Okay. Just turn this guy. That's going to be the head right there. And before I do anything more to the head, I'm going to make sure I can get the handle down to where I want it. cleaned up, but I still need to go deeper with that guy. See if we got rid of that big gouge. Okay, we did. Pretty much. Let's keep going. Okay, so let me switch this camera again. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Tucker. Switch this angle out again for you guys. Zoom in here a little bit. Here, I'm going to catch up on comments real quick. Take a quick break from the lathe. Ugh. Yeah, dances with aardvarks. The tail stock wasn't tight enough, and a lot of times I don't lock it into place. I should, but you can kind of tell when you start getting less grip on your material when you're cutting it. You can kind of hear it, but yeah, you definitely have to keep an eye on that. Kizzy, the tailstock this is the tailstock. This is the drive side. Or the headstock, tailstock. The headstock, this is the head of the equipment. The belts are in here. This is what drives everything. Thanks, Dan, for letting me know the sound sounded good. I hadn't had a live with the new microphone inside the safety mask, so I didn't know. I'm really liking the microphone because, like last week, I was on the table saw and it kept the volume down on the equipment. So I think it was a pretty good investment. And Dan, I think we already covered it. How far away is too far away for that tool rest? I would say if you're more than 1/4 inch away, you should move up closer to the material. Just to be safe. Yeah, Chase, that carbide tip, man, I can remove a ton of material. My other old-fashioned tools, the high-speed steel, I need to sharpen them. It's a whole adventure sharpening them on a slow-speed grinder. I'm not that great at it. Kizzy, you're right. You get a ton of dust. You should see some of Josh's videos. The epoxy is so messy. I don't turn epoxy very often, the resin. But yeah, I get a lot of dust here. Just like someone said, I've seen people where they might wear a smock or something to keep the dust off them, but they'll have a shower curtain. Because, I mean, yeah, you can have a clean floor, and at the end of this, the floor is going to be covered with wood. Dan, I use the dust collection port when I'm sanding. I'm not trying to suck in the big chips. Those aren't what's harmful to your lungs. It's the small dust. And there's probably a little bit of dust from the turning here, but I use a respirator when I'm sanding. And honestly, I don't use that as much as I should. I might today since you guys are watching, but I don't use that dust port very often. Hey, Perry, thanks for stopping in, man. What'd you get from Dollar Tree? I go there a lot for like different craft supplies and cheap disposables. Well, Kizzy asked a really good question. Let me see if I can find it again. It just scrolled on me. And Dan, there are no dumb questions, so you guys feel free to answer. Okay, so Kizzy asked a really great question. She said, how do you make replicas of the same turn? Just eyeball it. And Kizzy, if I'm doing this, you know, if it's just a one piece, I'm not gonna, you see, I made these markings based off the original. And that's gonna get me close. But if you're wanting to make something exact as much as you can, let me grab a different piece of wood. What you would do, where'd my pen go? Like for example, if you're making a lot of these, you make yourself a template. Like there's my marks for the head of the mallet, and then I know I'm going to make it this long. So can you guys see that? So I would say mallet handle. Like if this is something you wanted to make 20 of or 10 of, and then head. So you could do that, and then you just put it up to your workpiece and mark your marks. I've also done this myself where I'll put a little brad nail here, here, and here, and then I'll put it up to the workpiece and it'll mark it automatically. Like if I'm making a lot of something, and then I've got 3 marks already etched into the wood. Does that make sense, Kizzy? Yeah, Dan, message me on Facebook if you have questions on a lathe, man. Or I've got an email address on my YouTube channel. I'll answer anything I can. I'm really happy with my jet lathe. I would highly recommend it. It's not the cheapest, but I've been really happy with it. SK Boss, thanks for joining. Appreciate it. What make and model wood lathe? Bobby K, I have a Jet. Oh, what the heck is this thing? It is a Jet. Gosh, I used to know the model number. Oh, this is a Jet 1221 VS for variable speed. Everything since COVID went pretty expensive. I think this was $700 new. Now it's probably about $1,000 lathe at Woodcraft. But I would highly recommend it. I can, when I'm sanding, I'll show you guys when I'm sanding, I'll reverse it so I can sand in both directions. Hey, Jim, thanks for the question. Jim said, hey, what got you into turning? Really, Jim, I just wanted to make my own bowls. I used to make a ton of bowls and vases for my craft shows that I went to. And a friend took down a huge sycamore tree and gave me 4 huge 10 or 11 inch thick sections of the tree, and I cut one up with a chainsaw and made a bowl, and people bought them like crazy. And honestly, it's just like anything. I fell in love with the beauty of the wood. You know, you get that spalted, rotting wood, and you get some beautiful designs in the wood. So, I mean, that's really what got me into turning. It is so cool to be able to go grab a rough piece of wood like we're doing now, and we're going to turn that into a usable object. We're going to turn that into a mallet. So that's what we're doing. So that's what got me into wood turning. I appreciate the question. Hey, Dan, it is the, I don't remember. I'll have to look it up, Dan. Send me a message and I'll get you that model because it is great. Chase, I tell you what, man. I spent $700 on the lathe, and a buddy of mine sold me, he moved into a bigger house, but he got rid of all the tools in his workshop. And part of that was getting a bunch of these high-speed steel turning tools Man, some of these can be like $100 or more a tool. So I would go to estate sales. I mean, like this guy, this Easy Wood Tools, these things are like $130 or $150 each. So you got to pace yourself. It adds up really quick. So, all right, let's get back to turning. So the next thing we're gonna do, I'm pretty happy with that head. I'm gonna flatten that just a little more. And now we're gonna start taking down to some of our thickness. So let's keep going. I appreciate the questions, guys. Appreciate you sticking around. We're gonna actually finish turning this, add some finish, and I got a final touch I wanna show you guys after. I'm going to turn up the speed to about 1,000 RPMs. You usually don't turn it up until you've got your cylinder turned around. So starting to get our rough shape. And a lot of this is just personal preference, how you want it to look and feel in your hand. So I think I'm going to switch to my skew chisel here. Well, let's see what I've got. Where that sucker is. Let me get my spindle gouge here. Make sure you guys can see this. Yep. I'll zoom in just a little for you. So this is a spindle gouge. Do a little more here. Kind of dig it. I'm going to go a little thinner here on the handle. See what happens sometimes, the wood builds up and gets between your tip and the work surface, so you might have to pull it back to let the wood fall away. kind of going back and forth with my body. We're getting there. Let's see. I'm sure you guys can still see that. Okay, cool. We're getting close, guys. All right. See what it feels like in my hand. Ooh, that's big. That's still pretty bulky, so let's take that down some more. This is all personal preference here, guys. That's still a little beefy. See, here's my original. That is just a really nice, comfortable. This is still just too big. So we're going to keep taking it down. See what that feels like now. Okay, I'm digging that. Let's shape it, do the final shape. We're just kind of cleaning it up. I'm trying to put a little bit of mound in the center where it protrudes up. That's a little more comfortable grip. See what that looks like. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'm digging it. Oh man, I got a little chip out there. That's all right. Red oak's not like the best. It's a little grainy. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna go ahead and sand this sucker. Let me catch up on questions real quick and then I'll get to sanding. And I'm gonna show you one other thing and then I'll apply finish on that. Catch up on some of these questions. Hey Dan, Dan's asking great questions. Love it, don't it? This is the one thing, guys, you will find in real life, on YouTube, on Facebook, the internet. Some people are going to be helpful and some people are going to be jerks. So I try not to be the jerk. But Dan is asking a great question. Don't be afraid to ask questions. He said, is there any, what did he say? Is there wood you wouldn't turn? Gosh, my mask keeps slamming down. Dan, it really depends what you're making. For me, this mallet is not for anyone else. And I already have the oak left over from making a table leg, whatever, 2 years ago. So for me, it's going to be fine. It's going to be in the shop. Here's another old oak one I made. This is my beater. I beat the crap out of this. Honestly, I keep the Osage orange just because it's so pretty. I don't beat on it too much. but it really depends on what you're going to use it for. Like if you were making, well, let me explain. Red oak has a really open grain. You can see how grainy it looks. So it's more porous, it absorbs more. It's not great for outdoor furniture. A white oak has a real narrow or closer grain. Maple has a much tighter grain. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's sand this real quick, then I'm gonna drill the end of this and show you something pretty cool. So I've got to switch and put a respirator on. Where's that bad boy? So I won't be talking while we're sanding. Mm. $280, I got 100. Am I really going to 220? Yes, sir. Yeah. All right, guys, that's enough sanding for me. So now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna make sure we're tight over here on the headstock. Let me catch up on questions real quick. Let's see. Yeah, Josh, I did slow it down for sanding. I go around 500. Hey, thanks, Bjorn. Appreciate you watching. Rick, I sharpened my tools on some slow speed grinders. I've got different sharpening jigs. Let me know and I can make a video on that. To pump truck wheel mallets, though. Yeah, I guess it depends what kind of mallet you're making. BB's in the core. Yeah, I've seen that happen. Now, Dan is asking a good question. He goes, what 3 or 4 tools would you recommend for someone just starting out? Get the chisel things, I mean. What I would recommend is, the first question you have to ask yourself, if you want to make small pins or small items, the easy, what's the brand? These are Wood River, but the easy wood tools, these are the carbide tips. When it gets dull, you just loosen it and spin it around and you have a new blade. So that's what's great about those, and you don't have to sharpen them. If you're making small things like Christmas ornaments and pins, this small set of 3 chisels, you can find those on sale, different brands, Rikon. I thought this was a Wood River set. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have the box anymore. But if you're wanting to make bigger things, I've got these big gouges, like this guy. This is one of the things I used. This thing's huge. Let me zoom out. Sorry, it's not letting me zoom out here. There we go. This thing, this is the Pro, it's the Pro series, the square tipped one. I forget what it's, Easy Rougher, I think is what it's called. But it's like 2 feet long, but this thing's like $150, man. I don't know that I'd start out with it. It just depends what you envision seeing yourself make, because you don't want to go buy the smaller ones or the medium ones if you're going to make bigger objects. I bought this because I sometimes make large bowls with it and vases, so I bought the bigger ones. So it really just depends what you're wanting to make. Send me an email or send me a message, Dan, if you have other questions. I can. And Josh, if you don't know Josh, Last Breath Woodworks, he does a lot of wood turning. He does a lot more than I do, I'm sure. Yeah, great question. So yeah, so I'm not, I don't need a crazy amount of weight for this. I'm not really using this for banging on tables or anything. I use this When I use these, I'll use them around the lathe, and I'll use these mallets for carving. Like if I'll have wood carving chisels, I'll use this to tap on that to carve. So here's my next step. I'm gonna make sure I'm tight up here on the headstock. Then we're gonna switch this end out. Let me show you what we're gonna do. We're gonna swap this end out and put a drill bit in here if we've got enough length. I don't know if we do. I didn't think about that. Ooh, I don't know, we might not. We'll see. Where is my, there it is. So this is a Jacob's chuck. This is how you can drill holes on the lathe. Boy, I don't know if I've got the room or not. Ooh, maybe. Boy, that's just close. So let's drill a hole real quick. Let me zoom in so you guys can see the hole here. Appreciate you guys sticking around. I know it's kind of a longer live. Not as fun as making boxes to some people, so let's drill this hole. Now here, we're gonna drill, I drill around 500. And Josh, if you'd tell me, what do you sand at? I usually drill and sand around 500. Should I be sanding lower? See how I'm advancing this bit just real slow. Well, where's my bit? That's the wrong bit. I think I put the wrong bit in there. Let's try this again. Be right back. Yeah, put the wrong bit in there. Let me change this out. All right, let's go try this again. Sorry about that. Okay, still a little proud. All right, I like it. So let's part this. If I can get that out now. Come on, dude. I don't have fingernails, so that's kind of hard to get out. There we go. So let's go ahead and, let's see. Let me finish sanding this, and we're going to part this off. Let me show you that. We're just about done with this guy. Let's add this tailstock to give it a little more support. All right, let's finish sanding the end here. Now here's the thing I was going to show you guys. On my laser, I made this little tag, a maker's mark. There's my company name, and it's got a QR code that, yeah, thanks, Kat. I zoomed back out. But I made a QR code. If you scan that, it takes you to my socials, contact information, all that. So I'm going to glue that in the bottom. That's why we drilled the hole in the bottom. So I'm just going to add some glue to that. And that's going to be in the bottom. So I would recommend doing this with, if you're making furniture for clients, things like that. That way, if anyone ever needs to find you, they lost your business card 2 years from now, but bam, they've got your information. So try it. If you need help making a QR code, let me know. It's pretty easy to make. But I make different signs for craft shows and sell those. So yeah, I'll do a post later this week. I've got to do some sanding and some finish work. That's what I'm working on. I appreciate you guys stopping. Unanswered questions here. There's all these plaques I was working on. I'm trying to finish up next week. Yeah, thanks, Chase. I think that's going to be a cool mallet. I thought the QR coin was pretty neat. That's why I wanted you guys to see it at the end. Yeah, Josh, the one Joe did with the Indian. Yeah, the kids definitely stream on my Wi-Fi. Let's see. Yeah, actually, guys, when I got disconnected, I changed the location. Like, here's my setup. I have this camera mount and this camera mount. When I went over here, it squeezed on my buttons and powered the freaking phone off. I'm like, gosh. But I would recommend, I've just had my iPhone for like a month, but I've got the mag lock. I would recommend this guy. It connects to the back of your phone. So that's what I should have upgraded and got those. Yeah, Kat. Hey, you live and learn, right? I I think I really need to. I think I bought a second one. I need this mount here to be on here because I seem to be filming more with the iPhone now. Josh, I did a show in the fall. Josh asked who keeps business cards anymore. Usually get thrown away after a few days. He is so right. I did a big festival, like a 5-day festival, and man, they threw. I mean, I gave out like 400 cards last year or the year before, and I didn't get a single callback. This past year, I got some callbacks, but yeah. All right, guys, let me see if you have any more questions real quick. I think I'm going to call that a done deal. I think that mallet's going to look cool. Oh, small wood lot, man. Get back into turning. Heck yeah, walnut. So this is what is this, Hollyland? I can't read it. Yeah, Hollyland. I don't see the model on this. I'll see if I can do a review on it. Thumbnails, and I'll post that probably during the middle of the week. Now, Dan, I would still keep business cards. Some people will at craft shows. I don't know, 10 craft shows a year. And a lot of people take cards. The majority don't call back, but some people will scan my QR code. But what you could do is let them scan your QR code and say, hey, if you scan my QR code and follow me on Facebook, you get registered for a drawing for a free whatever, $10 gift or whatever. So it still has a purpose. Sorry, Kat, am I cutting out now? Hey, thanks, Chase. Appreciate you, man. Hey, Kat, can you hear me good now? Okay, cool. Yeah, Dan, I mean, I handed out a lot of cards, but it just depends. Some people, it seems like most people still want a card versus a QR code. Yeah, Runic. Runic said, my wife and I used to carry RFID cards on us at live shows. It's the same kind of thing. It lets people scan your information with their phone, and then they've got your contact info. Like on mine, it links to my, well, heck, let me show you real quick. Let me power up the other phone. I forgot. I've got my old phone. Let's see if it'll work. Give me a sec. I can just show you live. I kept my old phone when we traded them in because I'm eventually hoping to record with 2 cameras. Let me show you what it does. All right, so I've got my camera launching. See if it'll find it. It doesn't like it on my, come on, buddy. It's not finding it. My iPhone, I had no problem. It's all about phones, too. Anyway, have you guys ever heard of Linktree? So this actually links to my Linktree, which is a website that lets people, oh, there it goes. It finally did it. So you click on Linktree. Come on. Just thinking about it. And it found it. What's up? Anyway, Linktree let them go to my website, my Etsy shop, my phone number, pretty much anything they want. So, and it's free. So check it out. Yeah, exactly, Runic. Well, hey guys, I'm going to call that a day. Appreciate you guys stopping in. Send me a message if I can help you with anything. Have a good one.